Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name's Samantha and I make videos on minimalism, my no-buy life, work-life balance and intentional living. So today I wanted to make a video of how I managed to save £15,000 in this year alone. So earlier in the year I embarked on a life-changing journey, which was my no-buy journey for this year. And if you don't know what a no-buy journey is, or a low-buy, is when you commit to buying only the essential items. So anything frivolous like makeup or clothing, you decide that you're not going to buy. Now it's up to people what their exact rules are going to be for their no-buy lifestyle. Mine was quite strict, I think, for myself, but other people might disagree. But I went on a real hard no-buy. And across the year I saw that my money was increasing, and a couple of months ago I did a tally up and I realized that I had saved £15,000. I've now narrowed down 9 tips that I want to share with you guys in case you want to do the same thing. And these were the 9 main things that made the difference in me saving £15,000. So number 1, and the thing you should know about me, is that I still live at home. So I live in my parents' house and I don't have to pay rent, I don't have to pay groceries, I don't have to pay for utilities. So I'm very, very lucky, and my cost of living is really low as a result of that. Now, if you guys can do that, I would highly recommend that you move back in with your parents if you're not living with them already. If it's not possible for you to replicate that and to live with your parents, then look at your living situation and see if you can reduce down your costs further. I have a colleague that's in her mid-30s, earns a really good salary, but is still living in a house share and paying £500 per month, and she's willing to make that compromise in order to achieve her saving goals. So think about that, see if you'd be willing to do that. You could also, if you live in a multiple room house and you're able to, you could think about renting one room out or doing Airbnb. Those are really good side hustles that will increase your income. I've actually got a video on side hustles. Some of them you've heard before probably, some of them I think are a little bit more unique. If you're interested, I'll link that video up in the cards above and also in the description below. The second thing that I did, which I've touched on already, is that I embarked on this no-buy lifestyle. Now, I didn't do this in order to save money. It was just an amazing byproduct of the decision that I made. The reason why I decided to do this no-buy lifestyle is because I was a bit sick of all the consumerism, and it was just my personal consumerism that I was sick of. I'd just gotten married, I spent all this money, and I was just tired of it all. I was just tired of all the extras, of the impression that I was trying to put out there into the world, and it just wasn't for me. So I discovered the no-buy lifestyle, and then I discovered minimalism, and it all aligned with my personal values. Now, that's not to say that I'm attacking anybody who's into spending their money. I really agree that anybody can spend their money exactly how they want to. They work hard for their money, they earn their money. But for me personally, this is what I like to do with my money. I like to save it, essentially. So the third thing I did is that I started keeping a spreadsheet of what I spent. So when I was doing the no-buy, I created a spreadsheet, which I'm going to throw up on the screen now that you can see. On the top, you'll see that I have categories of items that I spend, and every day I would log exactly what I was spending, and then I would tally them up at the end of the month. And it's really helpful because it helps you identify where you spend your money and where you could save your money. Now, I hadn't realized that I spent so much money on experiences, entertainment and food, and those were categories where I knew that I could really shave down costs. With experiences, I always had this attitude like, oh, I'm treating myself, it's just a one-off. And then when you tally it all up, you realize that it's not a one-off, it's actually a lifestyle. And I didn't want that for myself. My friends and my family are really, really understanding. So when they knew that I was doing this whole no-buy, low-buy lifestyle shift, they shifted accordingly with me. So the stuff that we do now is a lot more pared down in comparison to what we used to do before. So even though we'll go out occasionally, a lot of times we will actually spend time at home enjoying ourselves. The fourth thing I did is to stop buying expensive lunches and daily lattes. I identified when I did my spreadsheet that I actually spent a lot more money on those things than I thought I did. So every day I was spending about £6 to £7 on my lunch, and I was buying a daily latte. So what happened is I got into this habit of spending £2 in the morning on my coffee, and that just kind of opened the floodgates, and psychologically I was more okay with spending more on lunch. I had this attitude of like, it's only £6, but then obviously that accumulated accumulates throughout the month. So I did some calculations when I was planning this video. If you spend £6 on lunch every day and there's 20 working days, that's £120. And if you're spending £2 on a coffee, and actually coffees are generally more than £2, but say for argument's sake it's £2, £2 on a latte every single day, so that's £40, that's £160. Now I've cut out the lattes, so I'm saving that money, and I spend on average about £3 for lunch every day. £3 into 20 days is £60 as opposed to £160 that I was spending. That switch allowed me to start saving £100 really by making such minor changes, and that just kick-started the whole process of saving money. The fifth thing that I did is I cut cable and subscription services, and you'd be surprised how many subscription services you have. I had Netflix, I had Amazon Prime, and I had Spotify. I hardly used any of those things, and they really didn't bring a lot of pleasure into my life. If it does bring you a lot of pleasure, and if it stops you from going out, so if Netflix stops you from going out and spending lots of money, then I think it's worth it. But for me, those were not the streaming platforms that I spent most of my time on. I actually spend a lot of time on YouTube and BBC iPlayer, and that's what I prefer. So for me, those streaming services didn't make any sense. In the same way, cable really doesn't make any sense for me because I spend so much time online and that's what I enjoy. So I cut cable altogether. Now I'm not saying that that will be permanent because Andrew and I are trying to move out next year and he likes the sports channels. So we probably will get Sky with all the sports channels, but he will be paying for it, not me. So the sixth thing I did was I increased my income. I got really motivated to get a pay rise. Since mid 2018, I've been lobbying for a pay rise and it kicked in, I think, beginning of this year, around March time this year. And oh my gosh, it was a lot of work and it was a lot of groundwork, a lot of presenting my case again and again to my bosses because they have to go through a couple of tiers to authorize a pay rise in my company. I had to be very patient. I had to go through my arguments again and again, but I'm really glad that I did it because I was successful in getting it and it was a nice chunk of change. So if you are able and if you think you deserve it, I would definitely encourage you to lobby for a pay rise. I also am thinking of other ways to increase my income in 2020. I have a few plans and I will document it all on this channel. It's nothing that I'm ready to share yet, simply because I'm still at the brainstorming stage. I don't know which direction it will go in, but I do have some vague ideas, and once they are firmed up, I will definitely share them. I also have a very small side hustle in terms of my main YouTube channel. I run an educational YouTube channel called London City Girl. It's got over 80,000 subscribers, but I'll be honest with you, the amount of time that I spend on that channel isn't really reflected in the finances that I gain from that channel. I make that content because I feel that the information that I'm putting out there on the internet is valuable. It's educational content. It's for people who really want objective and easy to understand information. So I'm very happy to dedicate my time to doing that, but I don't earn a lot of money from that. It's a few £100 a month, but it's really not a lot. So if you are thinking and looking at YouTube and you want to make that like a viable side hustle, or blogging or podcasting, I do think that they're all realistic, but I would urge you to do your research and to be careful before you dedicate a lot of time to it. There's many ways you can make money. This is one of them, and I would do your research before you go gung-ho into anything. The seventh thing I did was to have a goal. Now, Andrew and I are definitely planning to move out next year. We have it very cushy at home, I'm not gonna lie. It's great, we get to save a lot of money. There's no real financial pressures, but I want to be a grown-up. And I've stayed in my parents' home for a really long time and I love it here, but it's time to move on, and we really do want to buy a house next year. And saving all of this money has made it quite realistic. Buying a home in London is very challenging. It's made it a lot easier now that I'm married and I have a partner to go into this venture with, and this is my main goal for 2020, and having that goal has made it really easy to focus on accruing all of this money and saving toward a deposit. The eighth thing that I stopped doing is that I stopped going into shops. Now, something happened to me around autumn of this year. I started to feel a little bit antsy, like I really wanted to spend money, like I felt restricted. I wanted to buy clothes, and I don't know why that was. That's generally not a feeling that I associate with myself. I don't know if it's because I spent so many months not spending any money at all, or if it was because I was watching a number of YouTubers and bloggers who seemed to be going through a particularly difficult time. So I don't know if I was absorbing their difficulties and taking it on, which you can do when you watch a lot of social media. You're prone to like pick up on other people's moods or habits or their feelings. Or if it was simply because I had a friend who was having a party and I'd wandered into some shops because I was looking for a dress to wear, and I don't know if it was because I got triggered when I went in the shops. Well, I know that I definitely did get triggered when I started going into the shops, and that's why I decided to stop doing that. Building the habit of saving money and not going into shops and not looking to buy something allows you to build a frugal mindset, and practice makes perfect. You have to keep doing it every single day. Now, I'm not trying to be militant here. I mean, obviously, again, as I said, it's your money. You can spend your money if that's what you want to do. You can spend it within reason. You don't have to go extreme. For me, I felt that going into shops was quite triggering, so I stopped doing that. And the ninth and final thing that I did was to really introduce a form of gamification into this whole thing. This whole no-buy lifestyle has been brilliant. I've got so much time back. I didn't realize that I spent so much time shopping. My productivity has gone through the roof. My focus in life has gone through the roof. I'm really intentional about everything. So I get a lot of pleasure from it. So that introduced a little bit of gamification anyway. And then when I saw my savings build up, when I saw all the money accruing in my bank accounts, that's really pleasant. Every time I get my paycheck, I put a whole load of money straight into my savings. And I know a lot of people have problems with the no-buy lifestyle straight away. For me, I didn't have a shopping addiction or a shopping problem, so it was very, very easy for me to get into it. But if you do have difficulties, you can start trying to think of it as a game and try and put your focus into other things. Like this year, I've focused a lot more on my fitness, a lot more on my productivity, a lot more on saving, and the attention that I gave to shopping and consumerism has been shifted into this direction, and it's introduced a little bit of a game into my life. So that's been really, really enjoyable, and that's something that I think has helped me really want to focus and save a lot of money. So that brings me near the end of my video. If you like this sort of content and you're interested in personal finance, minimalism, no-buy, etc., then I will link more videos of mine that you might enjoy in the description below and also in the cards above. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next week. Bye!